I, in my early teens, I started to get feedback that I was bossy, which to me was weird because I'm the most passive and go along person, or not. I don't know. I was always independent. I'm never making other people do. I don't even like to decide what's done, and people do it because it's what I wanted to do. You know, in a social, regular life, out of work kind of setting. You know, the goal is to have fun. Part of it is, hey, being able to do, the thing that's not going to be as fun, but, it's experience or whatever. But then you get melded into life and households and running households and communicating with your partner and whatnot. And I didn't want to be bossy. I like to be a nice guy. I like to be, gentle. But then I learned I needed to be more disciplinarian, and so there's a whole sphere of issues with that. How is that now? The thing is, you got to remember the horse is thirsty in that saying. You can lead the horse to water, but you can't make him drink. It's an interesting metaphor because on one hand, the horse is a beast of burden. Then again, not always. I never enjoy riding horses because it's just some horse that gets ridden by a lot of different people. You really need to have a relationship with the horse. Now, the horse people I know that really love their horse, that's like a dog. When they get on that horse and take a ride, that horse is like, yeah, I love this. And generally speaking, horses have fields to hang out in, are treated nice and taken care of. So assuming it's a situation like that, because you have a thirsty horse and you went all the way to the water just so it could drink, and then it won't drink. That's why it's just necessary for me to decide the situation. Because it's not a matter of getting people to do something that, like, I want to go to the beach, so I get people to go to the beach instead of the movie. Hey, good morning. It's a matter of a need, like hydration. And then put all this effort in to guiding the horse there. What's the point? We need to have a relationship where the horse also respects that it's time to drink. Maybe you're at the dehydration point where your body starts to conserve water and you don't feel thirsty. It's dangerous. You need to drink. You need to force water in. And that's why that metaphor is powerful, even though there's the weird parts about the beast of burden stuff and for its own good, and it has a lot of possible meanings. But why it's a potent metaphor to me is because of the literally what dehydration's like. It's easy to get dehydrated in Hawaii, and so I've started to really notice the symptoms, And one thing I noticed is, like, if you get dehydrated enough to start having that dehydration, a headache, then you don't feel like water. And then I started to recognize this is a dehydration, or maybe I'm just having a sinus thing, or dehydration makes sinus stuff worse. So, but it's like I know, just to drink a full glass of water, just get that, or even two, just get it in, and it starts to act right away if it's dehydration. And yet sometimes I've had that headache, and I'm just lying on my bed, and it's like, and I'm not thirsty, and I'm like, I'm putting it off, Why? I don't know. Why doesn't the horse drink water? Sometimes. It's also kind of like a horse is a noble, but comes across kind of stupid. I don't want to say they're stupid. I've learned that behind those dull eyes is a thinking creature, but it thinks about weird shit. And I don't think they're stupid creatures, but they're not like, metaphorically at least, they're not like the epitome of a clever creature, know what I mean? So maybe they don't know what's best for them. They don't know what's in their best interest. Yeah, I like that line out of that song. Let it be known there's a fountain that was not made by the hands of man. You know, if you're looking to get your cup filled, there's a fountain. You know. But the question remains not only how to get people to the fountain, but or to any of the many fountains and springs, but why? Why? The fountain is not crowded now. Are you going to just pollute the fountain? Is that why it's so difficult? Is it because I'm mistaken that maybe we should just find our own way to the fountain and just wait 10,000 years? See, to me, I think history is proceeding. And in 100,000 years, 10,000 years, you know, we'll be past this problem. I think we'll probably have a Gaian, you know, ecotopia, where we shepherd and help the planet and have technology, and it's green technology, and we have greenery still, and there's forests again, and wild animals, and the planet is healthy on every level, intellectually, human society, and nature. And we'll be getting into some really surreal stuff that we could barely even imagine now, how cool it'd be. That's a long time. And in the short term, I feel like, well, look, we're going to get some political relief here within 1,000 years. But I think it could be 100 years. So you have to work really hard. I mean, I'd like it to be 100 years where my great-grandkids get to enjoy it instead of 1,000 years. You know, to me, that makes a big difference. It's not a black and white world. Like, is things going to get better? Well, let them happen. And yeah, I'm a part of letting it happen, is letting me be born to push a lot of extra energy, to take energy from somewhere else and put it in that direction, to redirect the energy. That's the best thing you can do, is take energy from somewhere where it's unproductive or destructive and put it in a better direction. Of course, then the horse would have to know which way the water is, and it doesn't even know to drink when it gets there. It's ridiculous. I mean, to be totally honest, I truly have laid down some pearls that you know, and I don't think I promote them a lot because I don't want them. I don't want to like make it flashy, and then people like the idea, like Thunderfoot. He makes these flashy videos, lays down some basic things of history, uses them to make fun of the young Earth creationists, and they're taken as pearls because they've been spray painted with pearly coated pearl. Underneath it's not a pearl. Underneath it's just a regular old semi-precious stone, which I love. They're my favorite. I love semi-precious quartz, fluorites, and yeah. So I just laid down those raw pearls. Take an eye or a gold nugget in the dirt. It takes a little bit of an eye, unless the light catches it just right, unless it's been wiped clean on accident somehow, which does happen because gold is amazing. You leave something gold, you can leave it right in the dirt, and you come back and it's just brush it off and it's like gold. But still, people are used to gold trinkets. So when you have a gold nugget or gold flakes in sand, it takes a little bit of an eye. You know, not all pearls are perfectly round, and I actually don't like perfectly round pearls. I like the peanut-shaped ones. And my attitude for a long time, because see, when I was in my 20s, I was all trying to convince people. I started to notice, you know what, I've never seen anybody arguing something ardently that changed their mind. Sometimes commenters say, ooh, I changed my mind because of what you said. Often they already were leaning that way, and they just like what the person says, and everybody knows a good conversion story that convinces people, other people, not me. I don't see why the born-again person that's reformed is the most reliable representative compared to somebody that like always tended to be some particular way. But whatever, that's a tangent. And my conclusion is, like I'll tell you, for example, such a pearl. I think it was 5-layered idea of epistemology, where there's 2 senses of identity. There's a third and a first person. Yeah, that's straightforward. That's like diagramming a sentence or knowing how to add 2 plus 3, But that's just like, people don't see the significance. That's significant always. Every analysis you would ever do, if you wanted to do it very well, you'd either use that or something that like that. I mean, I've met people with their own systems like this, of this layering of reality. I think most often they'll just have a couple of layers and they dwell there. Or they have a couple layers and they don't dwell there. That's how they separate from some part they don't want to dwell in. But in terms of integrating it, it's only confusing because you're standing at the water and you don't know you're thirsty. You don't know that you're dehydrated for a decent epistemology. You're de-epistemologated. And there's like 4 or 5 little systems like that, and it's just interesting because they're like little tools. You don't have to believe them to apply them. I put them bullet point form, or if somebody presented that to me, I could use that and apply it and see how it worked and compare it with other ways I had of analyzing the situation. That's what I've done here. I mean, that's how I pissed off Patterns and Chaos way back. He has this little alternate science theory, and I'm like, oh, okay, let me adopt that. I love that. Let me take your system and I'll try to run it. Isn't this how it works? And people get pissed off when I find ramifications that they don't like. And in his case, it turned out he's just an anti-NASA conspiracy theorist. So it's not just about his personal science theories. It's about this whole other thing that I don't really approve of. I don't like the demonization of NASA. But NASA has some serious flaws and, capitulations to the military. But, for historically viable, if not ultimately justifiable reasons. But then they go after the USGS, and which is like, that's ridiculous. USGS is one of the best things the government's ever done. Yeah, it has its problems too. Yeah, corruption's anytime it has to hook up with well, fuck, that's another tangent. But what I realized, though, is you don't have the metaphors that can link you to using such a system like that. This is a simple, like, hey, here's 5 rules, let's say, about analyzing something. Analyze everything you analyze. Here's 5 different ways to look at it that also have a vertical connection, creating like a grid, a scanning grid. You could scan something and get 5 answers about that thing, right? The first person's subjective view is different from the third person's subjective view, opinion on say, some object you're analyzing in the real world, some system. And so you have these 5 ways of looking at it, and they're sort of equidistant, and it's like a ruler. And the difference between the analysis tells you a whole third level, an abstract layer that is the epistemological, like, that tells you not only do I have an opinion, but I have 5 of them. I can compare those, and that becomes, I can have an opinion on what the spectrum of those was. And I have other such scanners that I use to scan you guys, figure you out. And I just told you, I just mentioned, when I was younger, I just kind of, well, these are my tools. And here at YouTube, I think I've done some work of inventing some terms for them and organizing them. But as I say, I mean, this layering goes back to my 20s. So it's just, you don't seem to have, like, the metaphors. Like, to get something, I would have to give you one metaphor, and I haven't given you a metaphor. I just presented it in abstraction. So I know that is one of the ways you can put things and hide them in plain sight. I kind of have done that because, Nietzsche, this is, again, a spiritual thing. It's like, I want to spread these ideas that I have and hopefully help. But Nietzsche gave me this idea that it's better to not be too easily understood. You know, it's better to be difficult to understand. It's better, but you need something about your writing, for example, would have to be interesting enough that thousands and thousands of people are going to read it. But if the ideal was you'd have thousands and thousands of people read it, or hundreds of thousands, millions, whatever, and just 1 in 1,000, 1 in a million might really get it. And the other ones would stumble using it. I mean, people misused Nietzsche anyway, but they certainly didn't do it effectively. I mean, in the long run, people said, well, let's read the book again. How did they? Ooh, he was actually saying the opposite of what they claimed. You know, so. On the other hand, maybe they were able to do that because people weren't reading them. I don't know. It's a complicated thing. So maybe I should offer a metaphor. Well, I just did offer a metaphor. It's a scanning, metric-based, ruler, geometric metaphor. That's probably still too abstract for people. But anyway, I don't think that would be enough, because I think you guys are more than one metaphor away from getting the simplicity of something like the 5 layers of epistemology. And as a skeptic, that could be 7 layers. It could be, I could have a ruler that's in inches or in centimeters, or, you know what I mean? That's not the important part. The important part is being able to array those things with relationships. Use the extra relationships to reduce the data in the system you're observing down to, down to a fewer number of parameters than exist than the infinite potential parameters that exist in real space. So yeah, I don't know, drink the water, man. Or, I don't know. I mean, I kind of enjoy just finding them myself. Maybe that's the point. Maybe if it'd be like the Lorax, that get everybody to come to the fountain and you just pollute it. Yeah, maybe there's things you need to learn before you can come to the water. But then how are you going to learn them if you don't understand epistemology? It's like another thing I got from Nietzsche is just that, as disgusting as society can seem, and the so-called common man, and so-called, the bread and circuses, and the manipulations, and the wanting to be manipulated, and all these nausea-inducing things about society, in the end, the most interesting and odd problem you just can never deny is, the common man, and why are we that way? It's an incredible puzzle. I think it's because we're in an inflection point in evolution, like birds, right before they got free flight. We're at the point where some birds are going to start free flight, already have probably, and it's an awkward stage. It's an adolescent stage. You should just go drink some water, though. Dehydration I think it's a terrible plight on our mankind.